Thanks, Diego. Hello, Toastmasters. We're going to have a small but great meeting today, an extended table topic session that Maurice is going to run for us. So let's begin by running through the roles. Andrea, you're the timer. Would you describe the timer role first, please?
The timer's job is to keep account of what the length of time that each speaker speaks.
Okay, great. How does the indicator work?
Depending on the length of the speech that you're giving, green means that you're at the right on time. Yellow means that you're close up, and red means you're over.
Okay. And for the table topics today, what will be the durations for the speeches?
1 to 2 minute speech.
Okay,
Yes.
great. Thanks, Andrew. And I'm sorry, I missed this in the beginning. Who's handling odd counter and grammarian for this meeting?
I'm doing odd counter and Dunn's grammarian.
Okay. But let's begin with odd counter. Diego, could you describe that role for us?
So the responsibility of the odd counter is to keep track of filler words like, you know, so. These are words that people try to use to fill up the silence because they're concerned, they're not comfortable with incorporating silence and pauses in their speeches. And keeping track of that will help diminish that bad habit in the future for speakers.
Donovan, could you describe the grammarian role, please?
The grammarian is just, it's 2 parts. One, I'll be telling you the word of the day. Today's word of the day is exude. That means to give out or use. It could be from a person or from a material or something like that. And the second part was what Diego just mentioned.
Okay, great. And Maurice, would you like to describe the role of Table Topics Master?
Yes, the role of Tabletop Topics Master is I will select a table topic and either a volunteer or someone who has volunteered will give a 1 to 2 minute impromptu speech on that topic.
Okay, great. Thank you, Maurice.
And as general evaluator, I'll give a general evaluation of the meeting, if it started on time or not, and any other things that are characteristic of this meeting.
Okay, thank you. You got my next question. I appreciate that. Well, I hope everyone exudes confidence during their table topic speeches this evening. I'm going to hand the meeting over to our table topic master, Maurice. Maurice. All right. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters.
Well, I won't look at this list for this first one. We're into summer, a couple weeks, a week or two into summer. Any volunteers? Okay, Diego, what is your favorite characteristic about summer?
Fellow Toastmasters, the Table Topics Master has posed the question to me of what is my favorite characteristic of summer. I can first tell you for sure that the thing that I dislike the most about the summer is how much heat it exudes throughout the day. I think we are no stranger to that level of heat here in Mobile, but still consistently in the amount of years I have lived here, I have still not adapted to it. I can't put up with it whatsoever. But I think the thing that I do most enjoy about summer is again, because it's a longer day period and there's more heat, I still like the fact that there's more time in the day to enjoy the sunlight and less time of the nighttime. that is the thing that I appreciate the most about the summertime, the longer daylight periods at the cost of the longer heat wave periods, unfortunately. I'm going to turn it back to you.
All right, thank you, Diego. Another volunteer. Okay, Justin. I'll look at the list for this one. What would you do differently if you knew nobody would judge you?
Thank you. Fellow Toastmasters, Maurice has asked me a question. What would I do differently if I knew no one would judge me?
Yes.
That is a bit of a tough one. I think there were maybe a few things I would do differently. One is I'm a bit conservative in how I dress and attitudes and things because of my job and the job being fairly conservative. And I think if no one would judge me, or if you could just do whatever you wanted to do or be however you wanted to be, I think I would be maybe a little more off base, and at least I'd like to think I would be, in how I dress and how I approach things. So maybe I'd be a little more along the lines of, I've forgotten his name, our friend who just left on his
Oh, Lawrence?
lawn trip. Yes, Lawrence. I think Lawrence is kind of a good example of being just a little quirky, a little offbeat.
Yes.
But I think if I were to show up at my job like Lawrence, I don't know how that would exactly translate over really well. But it would be interesting to just be able to loosen up a little more, be a little more progressive in how I dress and how I express myself. And another one going way out there, but it's interesting, it's very acceptable for women to dye their hair, and I see all these different colors. And women's clothing, there's so much more expression in it, where with guys, it's like we have this uniform, and if you dye your hair, you generally dye it black, and it looks very much like you dyed your hair, and guys tend to get judged for that. I just think it's interesting, some of the differences with how women get to express themselves more in our society than guys do. Guys, everything tends to be a little more buckled down. Mr. Toastmaster.
All right. Thank you, Justin. Another volunteer. How about you, Donovan?
Of course.
Let's see. Well, I'll go off the list. What is one thing that you would like to do during the summer?
Thank you, Mr. Hilltoppers Toastmasters. I would like to address that a lot of things that I would like to do in the summer. For example, next year, actually we're going to Ireland next summer as a Father's Day gift for my father. For one of the reasons is because one, we've never been into Ireland, and the second one is we've been pushing him to get his dual citizenship. That's one, to me, that's what I would do, is to just spend more time with my family and to exude my love. And also my love of God as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Go it once. Go it twice.
I'll go again.
Oh, you go again?
Sure.
Okay. And I'll go off the list this time. What gives your life meaning?
Fellow Toastmasters, I've been asked what gives my life meaning, and that's one of the challenges about this list is so many of the questions on it are these big thinking, high level, complex kind of topics. Very deep, very, very deep. So what gives my life meaning? Number one, it's about your relationships with people, and I think it took me a while to realize that. It's like getting a little older, middle-aged kind of guy now. You realize that the most important thing you've got is not stuff that you've acquired or status or money. It's about the relationships. So it's about having good interactions with your friends and your family, and making those relationships really work and focusing and putting energy on those. All that other stuff is really just a distraction from that. Those are the things that really count and keep you satisfied and make you happy. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you. So we technically have a little less than 20 minutes left. Is that, according to the agenda? On tabletop?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, another volunteer.
I'll take a shot. Give me an easy one though.
Okay. How many friends do you have in real life that you talk to regularly? And I know it may be different in adult life than it is during childhood.
How many friends do I have in real life that I talk to? I would say that depends on, like you said, Maurice, what status you are in life. As a young child, you like to kind of be in the crowd and be very known and sociable. But as you get older, you realize that that's not the importance of friendships. It's more about who cares for you genuinely, who accepts you for who you are, who's there when you need them under any circumstance. Also, I think, as I've learned from the older people in my family, that friendships lessen as you get older because you tend to gravitate to people who think just like you do, or have the same beliefs, or and take up on the same idealistic of how life and how you should live it. So I have at this stage of my life, about 6 good friends. That probably will dwindle down as I get older. That's it.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Joe, would you like to try one?
Why not?
All right.
Yeah, Joe, do it.
Okay, what confuses you?
Well, I got the question of what confuses me. That's a pretty long list, but what confuses me? What confuses me the most is what I need to do in life and how I need to do it. Because you're always put on a pedestal to an extent. You're always told what you need to do. So you don't want to listen to the stereotypes, and you don't want to listen to everybody telling you what to do and how to do it. So you go through life a little confused on where you need to go and how you need to do it. So in my life, what confuses me the most is the path I need to go down. Is it going to please this person, or is it going to anger this person? Is it going to please my parents, or is it going to anger them? So it's confusion of which path you need to take, and how you ultimately need to succeed on that path. That's what confuses me most.
All right, thank you.
Well, you know what? We don't have to go to 20 after. I mean,
Yeah,
no,
we
I mean,
don't. No, we
since,
don't.
since there's no speeches,
Yeah.
you know, we'll just move on. That'll be it for table topics, and I'd like to relinquish the lectern back to the Toastmaster.
Thanks, Maurice. Yeah, it's tough to stretch that one out that long, isn't it? Everybody has a round, and then where do you go from there?
Yes.
Thank you for that, Maurice. So we'll move on to the evaluation portion of our meeting, and for this, I'm going to hand the meeting back over to Maurice.
First, I'll give a general evaluation of the meeting. The meeting started technically a little late because he was giving out roles instead of starting the meeting. Technically started the meeting late. During the table topics, a person stayed behind the lectern for just about the whole time. No one left the lectern unoccupied. So that exudes attention to detail during the meeting. At this time, we'll go over the timer's report with Andrea.
Diego, you spoke at 1.4. Justin, your first time was 213, your second was 56. Donovan, you were at 105. Andrea, you were at 126. Joe, you were at 56. And Maurice, stop that.
Okay, thank you. Next, we'll have the all counters report.
Justin said 5 times and 5 times. Andrea said so once, 4 times, 1 time. I said so once. I haven't counted any filler words from you, Maurice. Don said once, and Joe said so once.
All right, thank you. Now we'll have the Ramirez report with Donovan.
I've been thinking of different things. So one is how many people use during the day. I know I used it twice. To once, I believe. I didn't catch it.
All right, thank you, Donovan. Since there's no speech evaluations, we've done the timers, the all calendar, and the Ramirez report. So that will conclude the general evaluation. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thanks, Maurice. Don't go too far away, because I think this will conclude the education portion of the meeting, and I'll hand it back over to the president. Diego?
Justin? I don't think we have an education overview portion of this meeting tonight. So thank you everyone for stepping up to the plate tonight and taking on a role. And a special thank you to Joe and Andrea tonight, because I don't think I've heard them come up to the lectern until today. So I hope this is a pattern that we will continue to see in the future. So this is a sign of good things to come. And next week we are only going to continue to build on the momentum. So with that, meeting
Okay,
adjourned.
one little thing. Anyone who has not gone over the pathways assessment, I encourage you to do the pathways assessment to find out what your path is. There's just a few members who haven't done that yet.
Oh, and everyone, for everyone's benefit, the first speech of any path that you do is the icebreaker speech, which is all about you. You talk about what it is you want, what makes you you. You share with everyone at a Toastmasters meeting what makes you you. Feel comfortable about whatever you want to share with the group, what makes you tick, things like that. So that's just to get the creative juices flowing for when you start pathways. Okay?
Thank you.
All right, thanks everyone.